Hello and welcome to Texans Talk Money. I'm Kyla, your host and a peer financial coach at Texan Smart. Every episode, we will be joined by another peer financial coach from my office, where we will be navigating all the roads on how to handle your money as a college student. So sit back and get your wallets ready to be Texan Smart.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to Texans Talk Money. I'm your host, Kaiton.
And I'm Kyla, and
I'm Kelsey Goates with Wellington State Bank.
We have a special guest today.
This is our first guest that we've ever had on the podcast. It's not a PFC, so thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
So today we are going to be asking Miss Kelsey some questions. Our topic today is going to be just banking in college for those listening. So before we do that, though, we should probably give a little background on Kelsey.
Sure. Well, so I work at the Stephenville branch here. I am the marketing director and the human resource director. I wear many hats. I also oversee the operations of the Stephenville branch. So I manage our tellers and new accounts. So the people that, if you go and open up a bank account, those are the people that you're going to be seeing on a daily basis. So you're going to probably see me as well if you come into Wellington State Bank.
I was doing a little bit of research on you earlier, and I saw that you have your CFMP. Do you mind explaining what that is for our listeners?
Sure. It's a certified financial marketing professional. That's through the American Banking Association. Basically, long story short, I took a very extensive exam, and I'm specialized in all things marketing when it comes to bank marketing, and just marketing is a very fluid topic. It's always changing, always evolving, and so it's just something that I'm just keeping up with the times.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's really cool.
But yeah. So I guess if we want to, we can start diving on into
it.
Let's do it.
All
what
right.
we have.
Okay.
So our first question that we have written up for you is, what are some of the top 5 financial mistakes that you see college students make, whether that's every day, one big mistake that leads into these little ones, whatever that may be for you?
Okay, well, keep in mind that I was also a college kid at one point in time at Tarleton State University. I'm not going to say when, but but probably the biggest mistake that I have probably made myself and that I see college kids make today is not living within your means. And what I mean by that is that can, you're finally an adult and you want to do all of the adult things and get all of the things that you want, whether that be getting the car that you've always wanted. But what people don't take into consideration is that with adulthood comes adult responsibilities.
Absolutely.
So you still have to, if you're living in a house or an apartment, you still have rent to pay. You still have those utilities to pay. Car payment, car insurance, all of those things that you're probably having to do on your own now. You want to make sure that your needs are taken care of first. And a lot of people, like myself, we decide that, we're in college now, we want to do the college life and do all the fun things first. But it's really important that you focus on making sure that all of your needs are met and then worry about the fun. You can do both. But you just have to have a very healthy balance of both.
Absolutely.
So.
How did you balance your fun and your staying within your means while you were in college?
I had a job. Actually, I had multiple jobs. I had a job on campus, and then I was also a waitress for a little while. But it was just one of those things that I had to make sure that I would set a budget for myself, and I would pay my bills first, pay my rent first, take care of all of those needs, and then whatever money I had left over, I would use to go out with my friends or go out to eat, shopping. Us girls, we love shopping.
Yes,
so I would just have to make sure that all of that was taken care of first before I would get to do any of that. Unfortunately, that's the hard part of adulting, is that you have to make sacrifices. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So our next one is, what types of accounts are the most beneficial for college students to start now, whether it's going to benefit them in the future or at the moment?
Well, so most banks, and I'm speaking on behalf of our bank and probably most banks in town, most banks have a free student checking. If you go into a bank and tell them, I'm a college kid, they will give you that account with no service charge as long as you're a student. And I think you may have to provide proof. You may have to show your Tarleton ID or school ID or whatever you have. And then I think it may expire after, like, once you turn 26 or something, depending on what parameters those banks set in place. But usually you can get those accounts for free. But keep in mind to make sure that those accounts are really free and not that they don't, there's no hidden fees or anything like a minimum balance fee or or that you have to have a regular direct deposit. There could be certain stipulations. So just kind of make sure you're doing your research. There are banks that are really close to campus. There are that are also on campus as well. My advice for you would be to just do your research before selecting. Make sure that bank has conveniences like remote check deposit and a mobile app. Mobile apps are going to be key to help making sure that you maintain within that budget that you set for yourself. Mm-hmm. Check it every single day. And it's going to help you manage your money better. And then also consider fees like ATM fees. Say if you were to use your debit card at an ATM that's not within that bank network, say you're using it at an ATM on campus or at a convenience store, something like that, there could be fees associated with that. Overdraft fees, again, living within your means. If you go out and buy a $4 cup of coffee, but you only have $2 in your account, there's a good chance you could have an overdraft fee. And those overdraft fees can range from $25 to $40 depending on the bank. So that's one expensive cup of coffee at the end of the day.
So what are your thoughts on students having like high yield saving accounts, like say like CVs or certain accounts like that?
Absolutely. If you can find an account that has you can gain a little bit of interest on, that's going to set yourself up for success, and in the long run, that's a good account to have to build for your future. Those accounts sometimes, again, whenever I say make sure you do your research, sometimes those accounts have minimum balance in order to obtain that APY. So, sometimes it's $100 to get that interest. Sometimes it's $1,000. So just make sure that you're doing your research. Go into your bank, ask questions, and just select the account that's best for you. But yeah, that's a great way to make some extra money because, they're just adding it on top of what you already have in your account. So you could also even open up a savings account too, on as well as your checking account. And then if you have a direct deposit set up, start adding a little bit more into that savings account, and you'll be shocked at how quickly that can add up. And you could use it for emergency funds, or if you have a big purchase that you're going to be making in the future. Maybe you do want to finally buy that car that you didn't get to buy whenever you first graduated high school. That'll help pay for that as well.
So what's a great way to start forming these habits, like putting money into savings? Like, say you're a college student, you only get like maybe $400 every 2 weeks. Putting money into savings account when that money's so valuable to you, like that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to do, I think. I know personally I really like to have a savings account, put money into it, but sometimes I fall into a rut where I'm like, I can't put money into savings right now. It's really hard for me right now.
I understand. Yeah. One good habit that I tell everyone is it's called the 50-30-20 rule. And that means whatever you bring in, if you have a job and your paycheck is $1,000, 50% of that, make sure you budget that for your needs. So that includes your rent payment, your groceries, your utilities, your car, your insurance, things that you need on a daily basis to get around in order to survive, those things. 30% would go to your wants. So that would be shopping, going out to eat with your friends, the subscription services like Spotify. You just budget 30% for those things that you want. And then 20% budgeted for your future. That can be the savings account that we discussed and, going towards an emergency fund, savings account. There's even IRAs where it's for your retirement. Most banks have an IRA account that you can set yourself up for. A lot of the times your employer will have that for you too, but that's a whole different topic. But yeah, just the 50-30-20 rule. And that's not like, you don't have to do exactly that every single time. Like you said, things may come up and you're only able to do 10%. That's okay. You're still putting money away, and to be able to save for a rainy day or to use for something else that you want later on down the road. But that's probably what I would suggest to any of the college kids, just to have a budget in mind and make sure you're trying to stick within that budget and move forward from there.
Yeah. So I guess along the lines of habits, like, is there any other habits that college students should form with banking and savings accounts, things like that?
Just make sure you're checking your balances daily. It's so easy to take that debit card and swipe it and go down to the next store and then swipe it. And then you're not keeping track of those things. And the next thing you know, you have $2 in your bank account and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I shouldn't have done that. Back in the day, my mother, they had checkbook registers. Mm-hmm. And so after every single time they would write a check, this is old, you guys. You would write a check, you'd keep it in that checkbook register, and then you would write down the amount of the check and then subtract it from the amount that you have in your bank account. And that's how they would ledger their account balance, because mobile apps weren't a thing back in the 90s. I'm telling my age a little bit. Uh-oh. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So just keep track of your spending, be wise, live within your means. If you're taking out financial aid, a lot of the times you might get a refund check if you're taking out the max. My one big suggestion on that, because I may have learned from experience, just budget with that too. Make sure you only taking out what you need for your tuition and board. Like, it's really enticing to get that refund check back, and it's a lot of money. But what people don't realize is that you're going to be paying that money back after you graduate with interest. So either, it was nice to be able to go out and do these things with your friends, but was it really worth it in the end whenever you're having to pay 7-8% interest on top of that night out? It's, things to consider. But I get it. We're college kids. We only live once. But
absolutely. We take that to heart when it comes to spending sometimes, I think.
Yep. It's always the question, what would my mom do? That's
yes.
So funny. It's so funny.
Would my mom buy this?
Would my mom do this?
I agree.
Probably not. Oh, goodness.
Well, is there any other, like, banking advice that you have for college students that you're like, please know this, please do this?
I really think I went over everything. I just make sure that you're living within your means. I can't stress that enough. Set a budget for yourself.
We love budgeting in this office.
And absolutely. And I love that y'all love budgeting. I wish that this was taught more back whenever I was in college. So the fact that y'all are doing this is amazing, and it's really making a lasting impression. So kudos to you guys for making this part of your journey at Tarleton State. This is fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So as somebody with a little bit more experience than a couple of 20-year-olds, how would you say, like, you've learned from your mistakes of, like, spending and saving and things like that?
Well, I just got really tired of paying interest. You don't realize how much, how much money, like credit cards and things like that, how much interest sometimes those credit cards have. And I'm talking, depending on the credit card, it could range from 10 to 20% interest. And that's a lot on top of that. And so, and sometimes that's unavoidable, and that's okay, using credit. The one thing that I will say is that it was always drilled in my head whenever I was a teenager that credit cards are bad. No, credit cards are not bad as long as you use them responsibly. Making sure that you're paying off that balance. If you pay off the balance in full every single month, you're not gonna get any interest charges or anything like that. But again, that just goes back to living within your means. And that was something that I really had to learn the hard way, because I was a college kid who did not live within my means and had to learn the hard way. And it's just hard lessons to learn. But I'm better for it, and I'm better to talk to you guys about it, to teach my kids these things too. So
Yeah, definitely.
so.
That is all that I had. If there's anything else, anything in the world.
I can't think of anything else that I have left for you, Kelsey. Thank you, though.
Of course.
Yes, thank you the most.
Absolutely. Anytime that you guys have questions, would love to just, answer any and all questions that you have. I'm at Wellington State Bank. It's on the Northwest Loop. And I would love to see all your bright and shining faces come in there and just say, hey, I heard you on the podcast and I wanted to ask you some questions. I am 1,000% for that. So feel free to come by anytime.
Yes, please, y'all, go check out Wellington State Bank. They have been so grateful to us at Texan Smart, and they will help you out with anything you have questions about.
They're amazing.
Yes, thank y'all.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Anytime.
I think with that is going to be our closing. So as always, be well, be ready, be Texan Smart.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.